Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Spying on Friends. So here once again, we're spying on Architect. If you look at his recent games, he seems to be doing very well. A lot of dubs here. Last year was a bullet game. Bullet games don't count. And to be honest, this entire list is all wins. We kind of ignore the losses; they don't exist. But anyway, you look over here. Architect in this game, he's 1,003, so he broke 1,000. So great job, Architect. He apparently was 1,069. Pretty cool rating back in 2020. Uh, but he's been on the climb. I don't really know what's happened since, but he was like 800 not that long ago, and he's been on the climb. This is not, you see like all these like junk games. He's 11 moves, 11 moves. He's been kind of like punishing opponents' mistakes. But this game over here, it seems like he really worked for it. So let's have a look at it. Alright, so to begin with, of course, we turn on the engine analysis because I do not know how to watch chess without the computer telling me what to think. Accuracy, both players seem to play pretty well. In a 60-something turn game, this is actually really impressive. So yeah, um, like even if it's a really simple game, like lots of trades or whatever, like this is a very high accuracy for a 60-something turn game. So let us begin. Architect. Spoiler alert: he probably is going to play d4. Ooh, right away we're going to play an England gambit. So he plays. I wonder if he knows this. I hope he does. So the idea here is you allow a check. Um, you pretend to defend it, you allow a check, and you pull back, you allow this capture, and so on and so forth. If you don't know what you're doing against this is very dangerous. You can just get checkmated in like within 10, 12 turns. But if you do know this, it's actually kind of bad for black. But we'll see. Yeah, check, pull back, yep. So he knows this, he studied this. Here, I believe you want to move the knight, because if you move the bishop, you think everything is defended, but then there's this nasty move over here. So, okay, great. He does know the England gambit, so that's great. So here, there's something you have to be careful of, but I don't recall what. um, let's see, I don't quite remember the move. I think you move the knight somewhere. Um, this attacks a queen, but this like centralizes the knight. I don't quite remember what the move is. But let's see. Yeah, that. Just trying to think. Attacks a queen. Queen moves over. Yeah. So here you're gaining tempo turns. That's fine. Like this kind of like restricts the queen. So like where is she gonna go? Like here, and there's this. So this is really dangerous for black. This move is kind of generally good, because then you're also threatening this fork over here. So here, let's see. So after the capture, this is like, you can capture the knight probably. This is gonna get captured, but there's this fork that black has to worry about. I think I kind of wonder, is there some sort of tactic with knight takes? Seems to be far worse. The thing that's a little bit scary is that this rook is hanging, but we'll see how this is handled. I guess you could like swing the rook over, bring the queen back. Yeah, swing the rook over. Now there's this kind of nagging threat, and then this fork is still on. So right now you can see black was trying to do some sort of gambit attack, but he's in a really tough spot. Like, it's not losing by any means, but you look at this knight, very restricted. I guess you could go here and castle, but it's not easy. Definitely not easy. This attacks a knight for no reason, so you got this free fork. Okay, yeah, Ark is playing really well. This is probably like he got a huge lead, and black played really resiliently and just like held on to it. But I see black's idea here is to uh, target this pawn, which is pretty weak. You got two attackers, one defender, but unfortunately it doesn't work for tactical reasons. So I feel like this move, I'm not really sure. Oh, the idea is to bring the bishop here to kill the knight. But I feel like this knight has already won. It's already done its job. This pawn move just gives a knight like a escape, like a bailout kind of thing. You're like, because if the pawn was over here, I'm not really sure how you would threaten this knight, but let's like you went this way here, whatever. Yeah, like I guess there's no easy way to get rid of this knight, but when you do get rid of this knight, it's getting basically a free pawn, and also it's getting the free pawn. So let's see. So yeah, okay. Um, let's say you get the bishop. Yeah, this is a blunder, but let's say this is the idea, right? You get like a free pawn. Oh, like, yeah, of course it's checkmate, but I just want to illustrate the idea here is that you get a free. You're attacking the knight, but the knight gets a pawn. Like it's already one material, but you're giving it more material. So that's. I guess you could like take with the queen, and then there's this pawn, but like where's this pawn going? So yeah, take the knight. You're up a lot of material, so I guess you can take. What was the computer suggesting? This way, to threaten the other fork. Yeah, that's a pretty nasty idea. Fork, even like at my level, like people do see these sorts of tactics, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to see. Like you've forked one, like I think like mentally speaking, you're in defense mode. Like, oh, I'm winning this game. I just want to like keep. I want to just keep the advantage and just convert. So that's what Ark's kind of state of mind is. Um, and just trading pieces is a great way to do it. And I also like how Ark is just keeping this to restrict any sort of bishop move. And here, I think easiest way to win is, I mean, one interesting maneuver is to like sack your bishop to get this checkmate. So that's interesting. I don't know if it's like a super good move, but it threatens a checkmate, and it threatens it in a way that allows you to castle. I believe he can still castle. Yeah. So he actually plays it. Um, yeah, so this defends this pawn, which is a pretty nice move. I think at this point, you could take in a castle, and then maybe like target this pawn, attack on this side. You could also keep all your heavies in the center, because the king is stuck in the center. It can't really do anything. The rook is going to have to like do that sort of thing, but it's just kind of like biting on this pawn that's not doing much. That's why you want to get castled. Um, just be careful. There's going to be tactics, like if the knight jumps in, like things can happen. So here he trades. Computers, what the heck? I saw the computer suggest this move. I don't really know what that is. But I guess it's still winning because they're up by so much. So here, honestly, our arc is in a great spot right now. Yeah, this sacrifice, I think the idea is that this knight's dead no matter what. So you might as well get something for it. And there's no imminent threat. So you might as well get the pawn while you can. But even if you do this, like it's not that scary. I think Ark castles right away. He just needs to be careful of something like that. I think that's like the only move that could really, um, that's really scary. Because if the knight moves here, I guess like a defense could be like here or even check or whatever. So I think now is a good time to just take the pawn. Yeah, so many moves ago, I said this was kind of like, it's okay, but it gives the knight an extra option that it shouldn't have. And if you take with the king, you're gonna get murdered. If you take with the pawn, I feel like this pawn is the only thing in black's position that can do anything because it's a pass pawn. Not that it's gonna really do anything in this case, because like you got three heavy pieces. It's gonna be impossible to push this one through. But um, the point is, black has to do everything they can, and maybe like wait for a blunder because blunders definitely do happen. So wait for a blunder, and then maybe this guy can eventually become an asset. But the way things are, yeah, he takes with the king. Yeah, you're kind of like a sitting duck now. If he had taken with the pawn, I think black could have tried to win this pawn, but that's really hard as well. Um, yeah, so check. Let's see the conversion technique. So you can't move this way. I mean, I guess you can, but yeah, you want to move closer to the center. And I'm kind of looking for ways to force a queen trade. I don't quite see it yet, but there's a lot you can do. You can target this pawn, uh, bring this guy somewhere. Yeah, so goes for another check, going for this pawn. That's pretty nice. Going for this pawn, it's also nice because a rook can't really do much. Like if you take this pawn, let's see, yeah, that targeting this pawn is pretty cool. I thought the entire point of the check was to take the pawn. And this is an interesting move because the rook can't really move. Or what I should say is that this pawn over here is undefended, and the rook can't move to defend it. You got like awkward moves like this. It's like it's very. I guess like if you do this, it's like double defended. You can move your knight anywhere, but it's just such a loose defense. And if you move your knight anywhere, there's still this checkmate threat. So it's like, you know, it's very difficult. I think the thing that Arc needs to be careful of is, like, I'm sure both players see this checkmate. Just don't go like out of control and play these pawn moves. So Arc goes for the A pawn. I don't mind this move. Computer says this is the best move, and it's a move that I saw. I thought the entire point of the check, of this check, was to grab the pawn. Me looking at it, I'm not, like, it's hard to I mean, he has 7 minutes, and it's been a pretty smooth game. So I'm sure his calculation skills are on point at this point right now. And also, I'm stupid. I said that you can't move the rook here, but you can. But anyway, it's been a pretty comfortable game. I wasn't sure if there was some way to get the queen trapped. That was the only consideration, but looking at any sort of rook move, like there's no immediate way to get it trapped, and you can just like slide the queen back out. So I like targeting this because this is the only way that black can do anything. Like if Arc were to blunder somehow, this pawn is going to be money. Okay, so he goes for that. I guess it's kind of like the best way to activate this guy, this rook. Because, I mean, like, there's so many ways to get at the king. It's so scary. And if you move here, it activates the rook. The rook can go any of these squares, but you're still not defending that pawn. So let's see if he goes for it. Yep, he goes for it. Computer likes d1 right away, but I like rook a7 because you can play d1 now and pressure this pawn. Okay, so going for the counterplay. It's pretty nice, to be honest. Another thing you can kind of consider is try to look for checks, look for ways to force queen trades. So I don't really know how to get this square defended, but you know, you could maybe double up. You could double up this way. It's really up to him. Yeah, so this is a good move. Yeah, nothing really to say. And at this point, I don't know. Maybe like getting the queen in here. You could even consider like a rook sack, but I wouldn't do that because there's back rank problems. A nice safe move to make in these positions is to just play h3. You're not gonna blunder some sort of back rank. Like if you want to get this rook active, like it's something that happens a lot where you get a piece active. You're like, oh, I'm gonna attack. I'm gonna checkmate the king, and then whoop, checkmate. So this it prevents any sort of back rank shenanigans, and it also prevents this type of move. But this knight, like it's so hard to move it because this pawn is so weak. Okay, yeah. So Arc targets this. I wonder if he's actually looking for a rook sack. Because if he gets his rook down here, it's just devastating. It's devastating. You got a pass pawn, and you got a 4-on-3. I guess like a 4-on-4. Yeah. King moves out of the way. I'm kind of wondering if he is gonna go for it. And I'm also wondering, this was a 60-something move game. How does it go on for 40-something turns? Like, Black must have played really nice defense, too. Yeah, so goes for the sack, gets the queen in. That's a very interesting move. The threat here is a back rank checkmate. So I'm sure Black sees this because I know that the game goes on for almost 40 more turns. Um, and another nice thing is that this pawn, I think you can just chuck it. Like if you're Arc, you don't need to go into all the effort to defend it. If this pawn were to get attacked, let's say like a move like this, like you don't really need to defend it. At the end of the day, you're probably gonna win at least one of these pawns and get everything traded, and it's gonna be a 4-on-2, which is an easy win. It's not like 4 over here and 2 over here. It's just a simple 4-on-2. It's gonna be pretty easy to win. So here, he saves this back rank idea. I think one of the things you could do is you could ask for a queen trade like this. You could ask for a queen trade like this, and just kind of like chuck this pawn away. Oop, I don't. I just played a move for him, which was definitely not a good move. But yeah, defends the pawn. I think like he sees this as very good. I said like chuck this pawn. Like if you're trying to trade this into an endgame, you can afford to chuck this pawn because I'm pretty sure this would win. But he sees this as a pass pawn. He doesn't want to trade. He just wants to push this and pressure the position because if you get your pawn all the way over here, you have a rook here. The rook has to block. Basically, Black is down a rook. Okay, so at this point, I mean, there's this. It's actually not the easiest position in the world to play. Yeah, he pushes a pawn. See, the thing that's kind of scary, I think I liked this move to prevent any back rank shenanigans. This move is okay, but it kind of like softens up this pawn. You know, like this is like unbreakable, this pawn formation. But I think something like this, like later in the game, like if you foresee a whole bunch of trades, let's say here, and I don't know. If you foresee a whole bunch of trades happening on c2, it could be a good idea to just have your pawns prepared for that and bring your king over. And this is if you're going to prepare that kind of push, this is the winning pawn. So we'll have to see. Yeah, Black sees the threat here. I think it could be a decent idea to start pushing this guy and put the rook behind it. And maybe like, you could do things like this, Okay, so I'm not in love with this move because these squares are now really weak. There's still the queen on the board. You're still winning by a lot, but you just want to solidify your position until you know you have a winning plan. I think your winning plan at this point is going to be pushing the c pawn and using that to kind of pressure. And now that I'm looking at it, this move looks alright. You could like use it to anchor your queen. So we'll see. This is a very scary move to play. Like if it were me. So here, yeah. So this is very nice. Black absolutely does not want to trade because if you could get these pawns connected and the rook behind it, these guys march together. It's just really bad. At this point, trading should be okay. You could trade, and then you could like solidify and like, because a rook on its own is actually like really bad. Like in these types of situations, the rook can't do anything. Like rooks are powerful units, but they're also very straightforward. Like they're not like knights where like they can go anywhere and like they jump in positions where you don't expect. Rooks, when you make a powerful rook move, it's obvious what the rook wants to do. So check. I'm not really in love with check, um, but I think it does kind of like there is merit to it. Like queen trade is okay. If you check, it forces a king up, and then you get like check like that. So it kind of depends on how you want it. Because if you queen trade like this, which is the best, this rook is suddenly pressuring this pawn, and there's like a zillion ways to defend it. You could do this, and rooks. If there's a whole wall of pawns, rooks are pretty slow. Like you have to like move around like that, and that gives you time to move your rook. So yeah, like this is fine. Uh, I'm kind of wondering if you could trade queens this way, and then force the king this way, and then trade like this. So if you trade like this, I guess you get the same thing. Like black doesn't have to take. Black could just do something like this, and you get the same thing. But if black were to take like this, which you probably won't, you're not defending this pawn. You're defending this pawn, and if you're pushing this pawn, you can do it. So that's a way to do it. I guess this way, the way Arc did it, and the way the computer wants to do it, you're kind of like guaranteeing that you have a good, you're trading in a good way, guaranteed. So at this point, yeah, like I see how it's gonna take 30 something more turns to win, but it's a pretty clear cut win. So yeah, that's all right. Computer likes this, defended by that. Um, Honestly, the move, like when I foresaw this rook capturing, the move I foresaw was this. And then if the rook tries to target this pawn, you could move here, and then you bring your king up, and it's just an easy win. But the way Arc did it is okay. Just don't hang anything. Um, you could defend. You could defend this way. You could defend this way. I bet the computer's gonna want this. Either that or just ignore the threat. Yeah, that's good. It defends both pawns, and you could like march together with your king. Yeah, this is taking space. I guess this is the more restrictive move. This is more restrictive because it like blocks the knight. But on the other hand, this is pretty restrictive as well. Like I like this move because it just solidifies it. The computer sees a way to win, but this is like a very solid. Nothing wrong with it. You're going to win. Yeah, and honestly, I can't tell the difference between these two moves. Like this, I know like it gives you this option, but I feel like this is a kind of the destination square. I think Arc wants to hook in this way. So we'll see what he wants. Yeah, Black thinks that Arc wants this. I have a feeling that Arc wanted this in the first place. So the check is okay. Yeah, the check allows a king forward, but I don't think it matters that much because you can always push it back for this kind of maneuver. Yeah, this is okay. You just need to be careful that when you push this pawn, you don't hang this pawn. And then if you move your rook here, the king can kind of get in, and it's all right, but it's getting a little bit scary. But like at the end of the day, you have a 4-on-3. Like you're gonna win this. Okay, so Arc has I think an idea to maybe sacrifice the pawn and just go around in the back and grab these pawns. So we'll see. Let's see. A move you can consider, again, is a pawn sacrifice. Well, it's not really. You can move your rook back here to defend. If this capture were to occur, right? So if you move here, if this capture were to occur, you take with check and then you go back to defend the pawn. Here you could even like chuck your pawn, like chuck this pawn, but I wouldn't do that because this is like a winning pawn. Like this pawn isn't doing anything right now, it's blockaded, but it's putting so much pressure on black. Like black has to keep an eye on this pawn. Computer says that taking's the best, but yeah. Arc plays the best move, as expected. And here, this pawn is pinned. You love to play this to restrict the king, but this pawn is pinned. Um, maybe keeping the king here and doing this. Maybe that's an idea. Check. If you wanted to, you could check and win these pawns, and then it's going to be a 2-on-0. So let's see how he does it. I'm not really sure what the point of these checks are. I think maybe getting the king up, but I don't really getting the king up here. Again, sacrificing this pawn. Like, you see how this pawn is so good. Like, if you don't sacrifice it, it's a passed pawn. It's going to become a queen. If you do sacrifice it, it enables all sorts of pretty nice tactics here. Yeah, so Arc hangs onto it. You could even consider this. Like, if you move your king up, there's this check, take. And the position looks alright. Like, you can tuck your king here and like do this kind of maneuver. Yeah, so Arc, I think this is kind of like the easier way to win, because you could move your rook back here to defend this pawn, and you could do this kind of maneuver. So the whole point. So I think black wants to blockade this square so that the king can't get here. I think black evaluates that if the king goes here, it's lights out. I don't see the immediate win, but getting the king very active, it's kind of not something you want to do. So Arc's idea with going back here, and going back with that, so I think in black's eyes, it's kind of like going forward. Yeah, going forward, I think what black, so anyway, what I was saying is that you can't really move the pawns. You can move this one, but it's like kind of iffy, you know. I think black missed the fact that the king can go forward. I think what black saw was this check, but in this case, a rook can take. So black moves backwards. Computer's not too thrilled with this because the king is cut off, and there's no kind of like way to wiggle the king forward. So that's why it's not like a preferred move, but I think it's okay. Like, there's no way for this rook to get at the king, and you can like slowly march forward, play at your own pace. Okay, so that's a very interesting move. I think that taking's okay. Taking, it splits your pawns. But if you don't take, I feel like that's just asking for trouble. Because if you kind of defend like this, takes, you have two pawns that are forward, and you can't... It's hard to defend it. But I guess if the rook were to try to attack it, you can move your king up. That's kind of your chance, right? So here he defends, takes. So these pawns are a little bit soft, but the king has to move. The king actually can't get to these pawns like at all. And if the rook were to move, the king can like get in and defend. So really nice to see this. You could move forward. You could take it. I think taking it's better, because if you move forward, you could get into some tricky situations, but we'll see. Taking's alright. And here it's very hard to defend that pawn. See, yeah, it's a draw. Yeah. So here, I guess I miscalculated here. Because here I was scared that these squares would be important. But actually, it's kind of like similar to what I was saying before, that this pawn is actually not accessible. If you move your rook, the king can come in. The rook can kind of do stuff. Yeah, so I think but here there's like, it's one of these weird situations where there's actually no way forward for white, unless you like hook around like this and try to support the pawn. Yeah, so that blunders a pawn. That's kind of the problem. Does it? Whoa. The frick just happened? You just blundered the rook. That is crazy. Yeah, 15 seconds against a minute and 40. So a lot of these moves, like it is time pressure, and it's kind of like it's not an easy endgame for sure. Like going all the way back to when Ark sacked the rook for the bishop, it actually wasn't that easy of an endgame to win from that point. Computers thought that the sack was brilliant, but it kind of led to these situations where you have to play super accurately. So yeah, so this blunders a rook, and he should know how to do the rook checkmate. Um, I think like at this point, you should maybe like move your rook out of the way and go for the thing. But I think Ark's idea here is just promote and go for the easy win. Um, if you wanted to go for the easy win, you can protect with the king and just march forward. The king's cut off cannot stop promotion. Yeah, so Ark sees that the king can move. It's time pressure, and here I really respect Black's play. Oh, that is not necessary. This allows the king to block the um, block the pawn. Not that it matters, but like that was not necessary. The king's not getting to this pawn. So yeah, you just move forward. You could have promoted, yeah. But this is an easy win. Just do not blunder stalemate. You could do your ladder thing in here. That was good. So I respect Black's play. Like it's, I mean, a minute and 20 seconds is plenty of time to, you know, from the time the rook blunder happened, like a minute and 40 seconds is plenty of time to do this checkmate. But at the same time, it's like prove it. Maybe you blunder the pawn and you don't know how to do the rook checkmate in a minute. You know, like it's. I respect Black playing on because there's always stalemate opportunities here. So actually, let's go back. Oh yeah. So that was a great game. The endgame was very tough. I think the rook sacrifice was not really necessary. Let's go all the way back. Yeah, this rook sacrifice, the computer loved this move. The computer loved it. But I don't think it was really necessary. The computer finds a way to just instantly win. But I think this is like completely winning for a 1000 elo human. This completely winning, but you can see there's a lot of complications that could occur. And I think another point I wanted to make is here. When you kind of like push your pawns forward, you have to keep in mind your king is cut off. So I did kind of like this idea of it going here. Yeah, at this point, Stockfish is saying like something like that. I think another idea you could have done in this type of position is move the king over here, protect the pawn. At this point, not only you're winning, you're up 2 minutes on time. But another idea is to bring the king over. If you bring your king over here, like it's the only danger is the rook moving this way and delivering a check and winning this pawn. That's the only really real danger. But if you move your king over, you could free your rook. And then once your rook is free, you can tuck your king over here. Like there is a way to access this square. It's a very roundabout way of doing it, but it's one thing you could consider. And the point I want to make, this move, so you see these two pawns are restricting the king. So delivering this check, it allowed the king more space to kind of move around. I understand the logic of this is that this pawn is now guarded, and that the only pawn you really need to guard is this and this. Like there's fewer things to defend, but I think it's better to restrict mobility because there's actually no way to attack this pawn. Like you could attack it with a pawn, but attacking with a rook doesn't really work unless you hook around like this. But that's kind of iffy as well because like the king can move over and defend it. So this pawn is never really under fire until this move happens. Yeah. So anyway, that was actually like a really great game. The opening was great. Glad you kind of know the England Gambit. I'm definitely not going to play this against you because it's actually kind of a bad opening. But here, yeah, like everything was really good. Um, wait, oh, I drew those arrows. Yeah. So here, great tactics. According to your computer, you missed the tactic here, but whatever. I think knight takes knight is a great move. Yeah, and this tactic was fantastic. So overall, great game. The end game was actually very good, very well played. I think Black did a good job as well, just being resilient and hanging on. A couple of mistakes, but it's a long, intense game. You feel like it may have slipped away from you, but just keep your nerves, play play your game, and pulled it out. So it's a great way to reach 1,000. So congrats.